I am Mary Bartlein. This is Instrumental Saturdays, and I have the great pleasure of having Jon Jenkins and David Helpling in the studio with me right now. Seriously.
It is our pleasure, Mary.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, this is incredible. You're incredible.
Thanks, but I'm so thrilled to have you here. I've been fans of yours for a long time. So, and actually, it's almost 10 years to the date that we did our first interview together, the three of us.
Wasn't it for Treasure?
It was for Treasure.
Yeah, that's right.
It was for Treasure, and it was in 2007.
Wow.
Awesome.
I know, and it was also in September.
Really?
It was.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
You really remember these things.
So
Well.
I had to look it up. But
well, we're all still here 10 years later, so that's
right.
good.
It is amazing. 10 years later.
I know, we're still rocking and we're here.
Yeah. And David, tonight we are here to feature your brand new CD, A Sea Without Memory, which is spectacular. And I'm so proud to be able to talk about it with you.
Thank you.
It's really, it's a masterwork, and you are the creator, and Jon Jenkins is the producer.
That's right.
So you guys have had a collaboration for a long time, well beyond 10 years. I'd like to talk a little bit about your backgrounds a little bit before you guys met and how you got into music. And David, were you a child who I imagine you sort of as a Mr. Gadget at home? Did you play a lot of instruments at home when you were young?
I was definitely Mr. Gadget, but I just took things apart as a kid. So
didn't put them back together.
Yeah, but no, I really got into music in high school. Mm-hmm. I was really into the band U2, and I was really into guitar and making weird spacey guitar sounds. And I played in a couple bands and all that stuff. Yeah. And then after high school, I just started pursuing my own crazy ideas of how to make music and make spacey sounds with the guitar and all that.
Are you self-taught on the guitar?
I am self-taught at everything musical.
So you are Mr. Gadget.
Yeah, I did learn a lot of technology, but that's but just by making mistakes and trying not to ever make them again. So yeah.
But you liked the technology that existed, the pedals, the effects,
I liked it and I love it. I still love it. I geek out so hard at home we're in my studio, my home studio. I have so much gear and I love it and I get inspired and it lets me, I'm just starting to be able to see that I'm gonna find the sound I've been looking for.
Yeah.
It's about time.
Yeah, it's like, I'm always going to be searching for that exact, very special, very specific kind of sound, both in guitar and synthesizers and percussion. But, I'm still really into the equipment that helps me find that. So yeah.
Yeah. And so you, as a teenager in bands and, well, we'll go to Jon then, and before we get to meet each other. Jon, were you also a Mr. Gadget?
I was not so much Mr. Gadget, but I was always into music. Even as a small child. I think I was in kindergarten. My babysitter, the girl who watched me after school, her boyfriend was a DJ at the Hard Rock station in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And I remember going in there and watching him do his thing and listening to all the what is now called classic rock.
Right.
But back then it was just the current music. And, oh, man, yeah, I've always been into music.
Did you ever spend time as a DJ?
No.
Wow, with that voice?
He does have a spectacular voice, right?
Yes, you do. It's incredible. So then you got caught up with, you met Howard Gibbons. And Deborah Martin.
Yeah, much later on. And
tell us a little bit about that. Because you three are the heart of Spotted Peccary Records.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, I met Howard back in the early '90s when the label. Well, the label started with Brain Laughter, and they did some things in the mid '80s through the late '90s, and I met Howard. I think it was '92. And they were just putting out working on their third album, which was Greg Clamp's Fulcrum. And to meet them and find people who were into this music, because Greg's music sounds very much like Tangerine Dream and that electronic stuff, and to run into these guys who are doing this kind of music that I was really into at the time. No one else was into that.
Yeah.
And just to meet them by chance was amazing.
How did you? Where did you get inspired by this kind of music? Like, what did you listen to in Michigan? If you were classic rock, which is nowhere near.
Classic rock leads to progressive rock.
Okay.
Genesis.
Gentle Giant,
Pink Floyd.
Straubs.
All that stuff. And then from there, it's kind of, you go down the rabbit hole. You get to Tangerine Dream. You get to Klaus Schulze. You get
Peter Ballman.
You go deeper and deeper, and you eventually end up, at electronic music.
Okay. All right. Fabulous.
Yeah.
So then, but your style, you started to create a whole different style with your music, sort of. Well, it was. It was your voice.
Yeah. I just did what I did, and that's what it was. I was certainly influenced in wanting to create more of that kind of sound. A music that took you to that place in your mind. So that's sort of how I got there.
Yeah.
Was your first record Flow?
My first solo record was Flow.
Yeah.
Before that was Continuum with Paul Lackey, a collaboration.
Yes. Right.
Before that was the Tracks in Time compilation, which we had two songs on that.
Right. What was the first instrument you played?
Trumpet. No, violin.
Violin.
5 years old. I played. My mom got me Suzuki violin lessons. Back in the early 70s.
Now, do you still play violin?
I do not. No.
Why not?
I didn't.
Could you?
I think I only played it for a year or two. I don't know. There's no way I can play violin now. No.
Wasn't Jerry Goodman? Didn't he inspire you to pick it up again?
No.
Oh.
No, I've not.
Yeah.
I've not touched a violin probably since then.
So then where did you go from violin?
Fifth grade, I played trumpet, through high school in the band. And
were you a jazzer then?
Band geek. Yeah, jazz, marching band, all the high school stuff. Yeah.
When did synthesizers come in?
They came in around that same time. I was really enamored with. I remember the thing that got me into it was that song Frankenstein by Edgar Winter Group.
Yes. Okay.
There's that whole middle section with the weird electronic sounds and stuff. Yeah. And, I heard that and I was like, oh, that is so cool. How do they do that? I want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when I learned that that's a synthesizer and that's how you make those sounds.
Did you go out and buy yourself one? Or?
No. My mother was a music teacher for the school district. And at the time, they were bringing in some electronic instruments. So she got to bring home a mini Moog.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. So we had a mini Moog at home, and I started playing with that thing and learned how to use it and do all that stuff. Yeah.
Did she? Yeah. Did she know that this was something that was going to get you thrilled?
I don't know. Probably not. Maybe.
Wow. Well, she bet right. So I'm glad she did. When did you buy your first guitar, David? And was guitar your first actual instrument?
I played a lot of piano. I grew up with always having an acoustic piano in the house. And my grandmother taught piano lessons. And she had this beautiful Steinway, which I have now inherited.
You did?
Which I love, which is the piano that is on all three of the Helpling Jenkins trilogy albums. Interestingly enough. But I noodled on the piano all the time. We'd go over to Grandma's house for dinner. They're all doing that stuff. And I would go into this parlor room and play piano by myself. But that was very young. But right in early high school, I think I was a freshman, I went out to a pawn shop, very classic, and I bought this guitar. It had 4 strings on it.
Yeah.
I did not know how to tune it. I just knew I wanted to get a guitar, and I started playing with it, and then I sold that and got a better one and learned how to play it, and then started getting into my delay and echo sounds and my reverbs. And I think by the end of high school, which was 87, I had what was the size of a small refrigerator.
Oh my
That was my guitar rig.
Right.
And that's the very first time I started making the sort of whale sounds and using the volume pedal and making music that did not sound like guitar at all.
Did your bands throw you out?
They really got annoyed because in between us practicing songs, I want to noodle out on the spacey guitar stuff, and it becomes annoying. And those bands all dissolved. And about the time I think the third band I was in dissolved, I was like, hey, I'm just going to do it all myself.
Right.
I have this computer and I have synthesizers now, and I'm learning how to do percussion. So that's how Between Green and Blue happened. Because I'm like, I'm going to do the drums and the keyboards and the space guitar and put it together in my own weird kind of music and just see where it goes.
Yeah. So, David, you're born and bred California, and John, you are a Michigan guy.
That's right, yeah.
What brought you to California?
Well, I was a child in Michigan, and then I moved to California when I was 15. So,
okay.
Yeah. My dad was there, so I moved out there to live with him.
Okay. So, so the land of California has you both, and you are hanging with Howard Givens and Deborah Martin now. How did David get into the picture?
David.
Did you pursue Spotted Peccary, or did
I don't think there was a whole lot of pursuing either way. I was my day job was being a salesperson at a music store where we sold recording equipment and synthesizers and all the stuff that I used. So I had several clients of mine that I think said, hey, you should your music sounds really interesting, you should get it to these Spotted Peccary guys. But I dismissed that. I didn't follow it up. I didn't know who they were. I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
Like I still am. I should pay more attention to things.
Were you in the same town? Were you all in San Diego?
Yeah, we're in San Diego. But then probably a couple of weeks after that, these two amazing guys come into the shop looking for some equipment, and it's Jon Jenkins and Howard Givens. And I think,
did you know
give you the CD? What did I do?
You did give us the CD, yeah.
We
walked out of the store with it.
Did you know who they were, or
no?
Did they introduce
I was
themselves?
Totally clueless. I mean, I just knew them as, hey, there's this guy Howard and this guy John.
Yeah.
But just walking in before they said a word, they had a presence about them.
I'm sure
that they were about something serious in a good way. But I had all these CDs that I made myself that was Between Green and Blue, but this was before I got signed, so it was not the finished, awesome, polished version that got released.
Yeah.
But I think they said, hey, we really like this music and want to put it on our label. And I was like, awesome.
Wow.
And here we are.
Isn't that amazing that you were just in the right place at the right time?
Yeah, it's the same thing like when I met Howard. It's like, how is this possible just to run into this guy who's doing this music?
There's a lot of people in San Diego.
Yeah. How did you come across him? How were you?
How did I come across Howard?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll try to keep it short, but we were... I was working with Paul Lackey at the San Diego Supercomputer Center, which is one of the 5 hubs where the internet started.
Yeah.
And we were doing music and audio production for the scientific videos that they made at this place. And Howard came in at one point for a tour of the facility. And I wasn't there, but he met Paul Lackey. And they started talking, and Howard said, hey, you should come up and check out what we're doing at my place. And so Paul said, hey, let's go see what this guy's doing, and that's how we met.
And how did your music change from writing music for science videos to creating music for albums?
It got a little more focused, because when you're doing music for an album, you have to make it more interesting. It's not just there to support a video. It has to be interesting on its own. So we focused, and Howard was a great mentor when it came to that. And, he gave some really good guidance for us when we were working on Continuum, the first album.
It sounds like Spotted Peccary is like a dream. It's, what an amazing place that everybody, these satellites all met.
It was an amazing place at the time. It still is.
But
it was magic.
It was an actual place in Encinitas.
Yeah, it was in a house.
When I was signed to them. So I would go over there and, hey, I'm hanging out with Greg Clampton. We're talking, and he's doing the artwork for the cover of Between Green and Blue. And there's Jon Jenkins and Howard Givens. And then it was all Deborah Martin and Mark Round and Bertrand Nadel and all these people. Tito all these people, and every one of these people is like a genius and very colorful, very specialized artistic people. So you just walk through the house from one end to the other, you have amazing conversations. Everyone's inspired, everyone's doing this new amazing electronic deep music. It was so cool.
Was mostly everybody on Spotted Peccary from San Diego?
At first, yeah.
Wow. That's an amazing amount of talent in one city.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing.
Yeah. Who was the first artist that you signed that was not a San Diegoan?
It was either John Flomer or J. Eric Werner. I don't remember which came first, but they were right around the same time.
Are those
John is from Minneapolis, and J. Eric Werner is from New York State.
And did you did you go after them, or did they come to you? Did people start?
Yeah, people were sending us music, and
because once the amount of albums that have come out of Spotted Peccary are amazing, just stunning. But from the very beginning, because I think for me, In the Land of Power was the first CD that I came across.
That was the first CD that the label put out.
Yeah. And I was like, what is this brain laughter thing? You know? And because there was no no history about Spotted Peccary. I knew nothing about Spotted Peccary, but I started to notice the label, and I loved your icon. You know,
the logo.
Yeah. It was my favorite thing. I was like, oh my gosh, these guys are great. Anything, if they're going to use a label like this, I love them. You know, but the music was always captured my interest. So I had kept a keen ear out for anything that you guys did, and so then I think, well, we did get Fulcrum and Continuum, so then that's how I found you. And then Between Green and Blue came out how many years later?
Just a year or two after Continuum.
Yeah.
I think it was 96 or 97 or right around there.
And what was that like for you, David, to have this produced album?
Well, the music was already finished of Between Green and Blue, but I brought it in. And once I was signed to the label, they wanted to, of course, remaster it because I was a total amateur. And Howard Gibbons is an incredible producer, engineer, mastering engineer. So what he did to put the polish on Between Green and Blue was incredible. But he also took one of the songs that was on the CD, and we completely remixed it and reproduced it. And that song was called Worlds. And that's the only song, and you can hear it on the album. It sounds different than everything else on that record, and that's because Howard worked with me and mentored me to make that song everything it should have been because of whatever I was lacking in my personal studio at the time. So I was really sort of blown away by how much integrity Howard as a person had for the music and the quality of the music and everything that was happening with the record label. There was never a rush. It has to be good, it has to be amazing, or it's not going to get put out.
Right.
And to me, that was really impressive. So, and Howard is even more so like that today. He's such an incredible guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's still doing everything with Spotted Peccary?
Yeah.
Yeah, he just put one out, right?
Yeah, he's still the man. And he does most of the mastering, and we also have Ben Cox doing a lot of the mastering as well, who's from the Lotus Spike label.
Okay.
When they joined forces with us, he does some of the mastering now too.
When did that happen?
I want to say it was, I don't know, 6-8 years ago. I can't tell you exactly. It's been a little while.
I've got Worlds coming up.
Nice.
So
there it
let's
is.
take a little listen to that.
Okay.
And that's early music by David Helpling from his very first CD, Between Green and Blue, and a track called Worlds. And so here you are, you're on Spotted Peccary. You then were requested to do a movie soundtrack. Is that...
Well, I think Sleeping on the Edge of the World happened first. Is that right, John?
Yes, that's right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so when I actually, little known fact, when I signed on to be a Spotted Peccary artist to have them put out Between Green and Blue, I signed a 3-disc deal to put out 3 CDs. Mm-hmm. The second CD was Sleeping on the Edge of the World, which was put out about 3 or 4 years after Between Green and Blue. Mm-hmm. And the cool thing about that record is the entire record was produced and mixed with myself and Howard Givens in the same room.
Okay.
So I really got to learn, like John said, he's such a mentor. I really got to learn the process and learn what depth of field is and all this amazing stuff that you do when you make recordings. And all of that knowledge I use on all the other stuff that I do. So, yeah. But it was after that album was out where there was a film director who had was it his film debut, John?
Yes,
as a director?
Yes, yeah.
He made this film, and he said, I want David Helpling and Jon Jenkins to score the music together.
Wow.
They're going to be my composers, and he sort of hired us to do the music. And we were forced to sit next to each other in the studio with our instruments and make music for the movie.
And you guys had not... You sort of worked together, but not really worked on music together.
We worked together. David played a couple things on my first album, Flow, and other than that, I don't know if we'd done anything together. At that
but we didn't hang out.
Yeah,
right.
And it wasn't until that time where we really were thrust to hang out next to each other, where we realized how alike we are and how we have similar interests, even though we have some different musical interests outside of writing music, the music we listen to. We sort of wanted and were chasing the same dream, and it was pretty cool to see that happen.
Yeah.
And I think while we were writing music for this film, for Chris Cummings, we would sit down and this music would come out that was really cool, and then we'd put it against picture, and it was way too interesting or too dramatic or too this or that. So all of that music got pushed aside, and it became Treasure. So that's what happened. We're like, hey, we have to put this out as a record together. Yeah. And that's how it happened.
Yeah, because that was a brilliant CD. One of my all-time favorites.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I go back to it a lot, and I'm just, what should I play next? Oh, I pulled Treasure.
We had a great time making that record. Once the film was done and we got to sit down and say, okay, now we're going to really make this record, we had a blast. And we threw everything that we wanted to. We just had fun. Whatever we wanted to put in there, we did. And in hindsight, to go back and listen to it, it's really... nostalgic is the wrong word, but it's really inspiring to go back and hear where you can hear us listening to each other and leaving space for each other in the music, and you hear the guitar and then the keyboards and the percussion, and it was really a really cool way for us to begin our collaborative relationship, which is still going very strong.
Yeah. When was this all recorded at Spotted Peccary Studios, or did you guys have like separate studios? Did you ever go away and write a part and then come back to the studio with it? And
it was all done at Spotted Peccary. Treasure was.
Yeah. They're actually John came over to my studio and we recorded my Steinway piano. So we geeked out and recorded a bunch of piano parts, and those sounds we brought back to the studio into at Spotted Peccary. It did, but we spent some time.
we started it at Spotted Peccary and we finished it at David's place at Deep Exile, and we mixed it there and we finished the music there.
Oh yeah, we did. See, I don't even remember.
Yeah.
That's why John is here, by the way.
Yeah.
But and just to expand on that a little bit, everything that we have done collaboratively has been when we're both in the room sitting side by side working together.
Yeah.
There's no going off and working separately and, I'll bring this in and then you add to it.
Nope.
And it's all happens in the room at the same time where we respond in real time to each other.
Yeah.
What each
Yeah.
other
So
is
if
doing.
John wasn't able to come over for a certain week, I never opened a single session. I
Wow.
was like, if John's not here, I'm not going to even think about it.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
when we are sitting next to each other, things happen. Like crazy things happen that would never happen if I was sitting by myself. And
Yeah.
I'd like to think if John was sitting by himself, but I don't know.
Uh-huh. Whose studio is Deep Exile?
It's
David's.
technically mine,
Uh-huh.
but Deep Exile really means the music of David Helpling and Jon Jenkins.
Yeah.
But it is the name of my studio. I always called it Deep Exile, but it is the name of our music together.
Yeah.
It's sort of I don't know, it's not the name of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Explain it, John.
Is it different from Spotted Peccary?
At Deep Exile, we just, we wanted to have a home for our music together
Yeah.
because it's important for artists to have their own websites and to market their own music and to sell their own music to their fans and get out there and do that. And so when we're doing a collaboration together, we decided, well, where are we going to put it? On my website, on your website? What should we do?
Yeah, there's no band name.
Yeah,
it's David Helpling and Jon Jenkins.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think we had to have a website.
Yeah,
So
we just picked Deep Exile because that was the name of his studio.
I said, how about Deep Exile? He's like, cool. Because that's how John is. He's like, okay, cool.
Okay.
Done.
So, so we had deepexile.com, and you go to the webpage and it says Deep Exile, the home of the music of David Helpling and Jon Jenkins. And that's where we did our podcast and Treasure
Yeah.
the Crossing and Found.
Now, do you still do your podcast? Is hilarious.
We had a blast.
It's
making
really
those
good.
Podcasts.
Yeah.
We did some crazy stuff.
I
in
did
there.
when I was doing my homework. I was hitting the podcast.
Oh, my gosh.
And they are really excellent. They're really well done, and your fans are amazing when they call in.
They
and,
are.
Yes, they are.
mail and stuff like that. But I think the feature that you guys like a lot, and all the listeners do, is the iPod.
The iPod
Shuffle
Showdown, yeah.
Shuffle Showdown.
That
That is really good.
became a really cool thing. That was where we would each break out our iPods and put it on random. And we were each allowed to play 3 songs, and we had no idea what was going to come up. Some
it's
of the music
brilliant.
was a guilty pleasure. Some of it were like, oh, awesome. And then we'd have to either
Explain ourselves or
make excuses why the heck we had that song on our iPod.
Yeah,
that's
no,
right.
but that's really,
gosh.
it's very insightful. I mean, I love it. So I really enjoyed that because I learned a lot about you guys just, listening to that. I didn't know you were such a huge Peter Gabriel fan.
oh my gosh,
That's
yeah.
what I live and breathe for.
Yeah, so in the podcast, you really learn
Yeah.
what we're about, and we do funny stuff, and it's sort of very theatrical. We had some UFOs came and visited us. John got locked in a cabin in the snow, and I had to go rescue him. We had a
it's
secret
very
underground
theatrical.
lair in a cave, and
Yeah.
It was an adventure every time.
oh, it was always an adventure. And we did all the podcasts, and then I think as soon as Found was released, which was that late 2013?
Yep.
We stopped doing the podcast because we had done our 3 albums together, and we're taking a break. I'm supposed to have my new album out already, but I didn't. I'm still working on it.
Yeah, which I am curious to hear more about.
I'm very excited about that, but we can talk
Yeah.
about that when you're ready.
Yeah.
But
well,
yeah,
So we didn't do any podcasts after after Found came out.
we haven't gone back.
It
but
would be us just talking about what we're not doing.
right.
It's like, hey, here's a podcast of us explaining why we haven't come out with a 4th collaboration album together.
Yeah. Is that something you're thinking about?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, we are definitely gonna have another album coming out as a duo.
Can't tell you when, but it'll happen.
No,
All right.
it will be after my solo release, my 3rd record.
Okay.
So
And I know we need to start talking about See Without Memory. And maybe we should just do that because I'll get all sidetracked. But I do want to find out about the new CD, though. For sure.
I can give you like 30 seconds.
Give me 30 seconds.
So I am working really hard.
I have a title
on my
for
next
you.
record. Oh, okay. I bet you do. I bet you do. I have a title that no one knows about, and no one will
Okay.
know till probably deep into next year at this point. I don't know. So this is the follow-up, the direct follow-up to Sleeping on the Edge of the World.
Oh.
This will be the first time that I'm doing music without John, which is really strange.
Yeah.
But he is also going to be the co-producer of the record.
Okay.
You knew that, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, so
I've heard the music, so I can
yeah,
say that much.
he's helping me. He's the catalyst to make me finish the record. So,
Okay.
It's really good, you guys.
Well, no doubt.
there we go.
It's
My
really
God.
good. Yeah, you're
Is
going to
it-
love it.
Is it just you or?
It's just me. It's
Okay.
my own music, and a lot of the ideas go back to, or some of the ideas go back to the Between Green and Blue sessions, the sleeping sessions, and then a bunch of new stuff that I'm all inspired by. And you're gonna love it. There'll be some things you don't expect, but I think you're still gonna love it.
Okay.
But it's not ready, and I'm
Okay.
still working on it. So hang in there.
Yeah. Because back to between green and blue, you had also another collaborator on the CD, a little known guy named Matthew Stewart.
Matthew Stewart, can we just real quick do
Oh
a
my
shout
gosh.
out? Matthew Stewart, you're
Hey,
probably not
Matthew.
listening. He's probably playing a gig or something.
Probably.
Matthew Stewart is our super good friend.
Yeah.
He's one of my best friends. He played bass and did vocals on my first record. He's the guy singing on Storm Chaser.
Yeah, the bass is
Yeah,
fabulous.
and he played bass on a song on Found. He played
You
a bunch
played on
of
Beyond City Light.
on JJ's record.
I love that
Yeah.
CD.
And as far as professionally, because I have a day job, I do music for television and stuff. Matt helps me a lot, and he's a big force in both of our lives. And he's an incredible person.
Yeah.
He's humble. He's talented.
Don't tell him, but I have a secret crush on him.
Okay,
He's really
We won't say
funny.
anything. Shh.
Yeah,
he is funny, but he is the nicest guy.
Yeah.
And he runs circles around me on every instrument.
Wow.
And he will never talk about it. But anyway, thank you,
So
Matthew
talented,
Stewart, for
yeah.
being part of all of our work.
And I was so thrilled to see that he finally put out his own solo album
That's
on Spotted
right,
Peccary.
everybody.
And when was
world,
that?
a world bathed in sunlight.
Yes.
Bathed in sunlight. Was that like 6 months ago, or
Yeah, it was the beginning of, well, no, yeah, it was the beginning of the year.
It was late last year.
Late last year?
Yeah.
okay? Time's flying. Sorry.
Yeah, because I couldn't, it was funny because when that came out, there are a couple other Matthew Stewarts in this genre. And
I didn't know that.
yeah, there are. And
Oh,
so
wow.
I sort of, it didn't click right away that it was that Matthew Stewart. And I, because I played it a couple times, and it didn't click right away. And then all of a sudden I was like listening to it. And I'm like going, Matthew Stewart! Oh my God! And I grabbed your CD on Between Green and Blue just to see if the spelling was the same. And I'm like, oh my God! I bet it is.
Oh, and also when John and I did the Treasure Tour, because we did a bunch of gigs for that, Matthew Stewart was our entire
Yeah.
thunderous percussion section.
Yeah.
And he went on the road with us, and it was so great.
We couldn't
That-
do it without him.
No.
He's the third member of our duo.
We
Yeah.
will never perform live without Matt Stewart.
Yeah,
Never,
and I wish
never.
you would perform live again. You need to put something together
Okay, next question.
because that's amazing. so A Sea Without Memory is wonderful, and my alternate title for it is Such Distant Landscape.
Okay, I like that. That's cool. But what is A Sea Without Memory?
What
Mary?
is A Sea Without Memory?
What is it? Is it a CD?
It is not. It is a digital release only.
Okay.
Why is that? Did I say
Well,
CD a
before
couple
you say
times?
that, A Sea Without
Album.
Memory is my latest release. It's my album. It's my record. It is the first time I have ever created an album that is just guitar. And it's the same exact kind of ambient guitar style that I play on my records and all the records with John. But now it's the guitar all by itself, which I've never done. And I was a little apprehensive about because I wasn't sure if it's supposed to be by itself. But
Oh,
thanks to John putting the album together and releasing it, I'm really excited about it. It's a cool record.
now the roots. Sorry to cut you off, but the roots of this go back to something that you were doing on YouTube, the Sunday Loops.
Yes.
And I was wondering if which that is also a brilliant thing, and I hope you do continue that. Did Sunday Loops inspire this album, or is this album inspired by Sunday Loops? Or,
I think it's both.
I mean,
the Sunday Loops, just briefly, was I wanted to force myself to make ambient guitar music once a week because I was working so much on the album that I'm still working on that I wasn't just picking up the guitar. And I said, you know what? I bet if I start putting them out there, it's going to force me to keep it up. So I would press record, create a live improvised ambient piece of music, 6 or 7 minutes, add it to some visuals and put it on YouTube for the listeners to check out. And at first it was kind of like, oh, here's this thing I'm doing, check it out. And after 10 or so of those, people were getting really excited and they want to hear more. And hey, you should put this on a CD. When's this going to come out? And that's when I talked to John and I said, hey, John, what do you think about putting out like an ambient guitar album? And he said,
nah.
No.
He immediately tried to talk me out of it.
Wow.
Why, now this is important. Why shouldn't we release an ambient guitar record?
Yeah. Why?
I didn't. We listened through a lot of the loops, and they're great for what they were. They were designed to be these little vignettes that David would spontaneously create on a Sunday night, and they work perfectly for that. I was concerned that people would, if we put this out as the next David Helpling album, people would be like, wait a minute, this is not Sleeping on the Edge of the World. This is not what I was expecting from David's next album. And, it might be a little weird to have the new David since 1999. How long is that? Almost 20 years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
David's next album is this ambient guitar release.
It's this total space guitar album. It's like, that's nuts. So
but at the same time, and we started listening to the tracks, and they're all about the same length, and they all sort of do about the same thing, and you put them side by side, and it just it was cool, but it wasn't the next David Helpling album. So we talked about it and started thinking, well, what if we could just make it, take some of these pieces and make something a little more interesting, make it longer, because it gets going and then it fades out and it's done. What if we could stretch them out and make them more of an experience?
Yeah.
So we did some experiments with that and came up with something pretty cool. And we thought, well, okay, this might be worth putting out.
Right.
But rather than put it out as a CD, because it was never intended to be a CD, these pieces were just created for sharing for free on YouTube, and they were all out there already. So we just thought, let's, rather than not putting out anything, let's take this thing and put it out there in this form so people get a chance to hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he tried to talk me out of it. Then he became the producer of the album. He really tried to talk me out of it because he wanted me to finish my big record, which I've been working on. And he's like, putting out an ambient guitar record, you should focus on the other music. And then he's like, wait a minute, I have this idea. He came up with putting these things in the order and processing them the way he did.
Yeah.
And when I heard what he had come up with my music, I was starting to hear things I'd never heard before, and it started to become an album. And it was an album, and the titles came to mind. There's poetry all in the digital booklet. I started getting inspired, and it became a thing really fast. Yeah,
the whole package is beautiful.
Thank you.
But it is a digital download, and where do people get it? I mean,
well, the best place to get it is to go to spottedpeccary.com or ambientelectronic.com. They both go to the same place. But you can also get it at iTunes, or is it Amazon, iTunes. You can stream it on Spotify. Pandora's great. I have people sending me pictures of their Pandora stations with a See Without Memory track on it. And I think that's so cool. So it's everywhere you want to listen or stream to digital music.
Yeah. Actually, I think you can also get it right off of our website, WMSE.org.
Really?
Because we use Spinatron, and you can buy.
And it links over to it.
It links.
Hey.
Yeah.
Well,
that's how you get it. Go
forget
to
everything I
WMSE.
said. Go to Mary's website and get it.
Yeah. So let's take a listen to the first track. I'm going to do a couple commercials here, not commercials, but some funding here to pay the bills so we can continue this interview. Let's take a listen to the first track. It is a 20 minute track, which I love that. For my show, it's perfect, and I really love it. This song totally caught my attention. When I got the digital download and I started listening, and I like a lot of times, like, oh, you turn it on, you start doing things and whatever, and this snapped me right out of what I was doing.
Really?
Yeah. So it totally caught my attention, and I started, what is going on here?
What was it, do you think, in this music that grabbed you so much?
It is your guitar styles. It is some of the flow, the techniques that you're using. I can hear the different the effects that you're using.
So did it sound like me? Did it sound like something new?
Yeah, it sounded like you.
Oh, cool.
To me, it did.
See, that's cool. I haven't had anyone tell me that. So
yeah.
It's neat to hear you say that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
No, it did definitely sound like you.
Awesome.
And I'll tell you, I'll tell you when it first comes in. Actually, I think, according to my notes, I was sold at 6 minutes, 38 seconds.
Okay, so when she starts this track, wait for 6 minutes. That's the moment where
that's when
Mary was captivated.
Exactly. That's when it snapped me, and I said, "What is going on here?" And I totally that was the moment.
Wow.
And I listened straight through, almost like doing nothing but just listening.
That is so amazing of you. No, I really am appreciative of you listening. That's a big deal. Thank you.
Well, I love it. So I guess let's talk about it afterwards. After we hear it, we'll talk about the other things that we hear. So
okay.
6 minutes, 38 seconds. But let me do a couple of these first, and we'll be into the very first track on David's new album, A Place All My Own is the name of the track. And we'll be back after this.
This portion of WMSE is supported by a donation from The Exclusive Company, a locally owned independent record store established in 1956. Exclusive Company buys, sells, and trades used CDs, records, and DVDs at 3 locations: 1669 North Farwell on Milwaukee's east side, 144 North Main Street in West Bend, and 5026 South 74th Street in Greenfield, featuring Metal House, a full-line metal store. Support comes from Alcoholmanac Magazine. Alcoholmanac Magazine is celebrating their 10th anniversary with a year-long 6-issue collectible volume. The first issue ranks 40 through 35 of a special countdown of Alcoholmanac's favorite 40 beers, wines, and spirits that Alcoholmanac has featured over the past 10 years. And favorite 40 will be countdown all year. The first issue is now available at local bars, restaurants, or retailers. More information about Alcoholmanac Magazine available on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
That's the music of David Helpling on WMSE from his brand new album released just not that long ago and technically released only as a digital download, which I'm not sure about.
You're not the only one. People have been very vocal about expressing their feelings about that.
Why isn't this album on CD?
Why isn't this? I want to feel it.
I personally get quite a few emails and messages on all social media, and I say, hey, I'm sorry, please send an email to info@spottedpeccary.com and tell them that you want this on CD. And that way I wash my hands of it because it's not my fault.
So it's actually John's idea?
It's not entirely my idea, but...
Is this an experiment to see?
People don't buy as many CDs as they used. They just don't sell the way they used to anymore. And to take a project that's already out there on YouTube, the music is all out there already. People have already heard it all. It's a side project. It's not really his next real album.
Yeah.
We just thought at least we can offer it up. This way people can still have the opportunity to hear it rather than not putting it out at all.
Yeah. True. And it's all in one place as opposed to jumping around on YouTube.
Plus, you get this awesome 14-page digital booklet with poetry and a beautiful imagery that would never be printed up for a CD release like this.
Yeah, yeah. Let's talk about the imagery. It's exceptional.
Can we just start with the huge, shining, brilliant shout out to Sean Malone?
Yes.
Sean Malone is an amazing photographer, cinematographer, the queen of time-lapse.
Unbelievable.
The queen of nightscape time-lapse photography. She's in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Her company is called Lake Superior Photo. And she found us. We found her when we were releasing Found. And she produced a music video for us with this incredible Aurora Borealis time-lapse stuff. So we're all in love with each other. And when I was doing the Sunday loops, I started to ask her if she wouldn't mind providing the video because I'm doing this like on a Sunday night live, and I have about an hour to put it with some visuals and make a movie. And so she would often send me like 7.5 minutes of visuals. And those visuals were so inspiring. So when I was writing the music, when I was playing the guitar parts that became A Sea Without Memory, I was imagining all of Sean's, the cold nightscapes, the Aurora Borealis, the stars, the slow waves at night. This is stuff that has always inspired me, but in San Diego, we just don't have.
Yeah.
So Sean is the driving force behind a lot of the inspiration of the whole record. And all of the artwork, obviously, the cover of the record and everything in the 14-page booklet is her artwork, aside from all of the awesome photography from our friend Joe Abreu, who took all the photos of me playing guitar and all that stuff. But all the other landscape images are all Sean, and she's just... Yeah, she's awesome.
I said this before that I don't think... Well, I shouldn't say, but I think that your music could not be more perfectly suited for her photography. It's just absolutely brilliant.
That's awesome for you to hear. She really feels the same way I think. She loves my music. She loves my music with John, and I love everything she does. Yeah, everything she does is gold, and I can't wait to see what she's doing next because she does some macro photography stuff also that she'll post like a little still image on Facebook or something, but I know that she probably has a lot of exciting stuff that's going to come out at some point. So.
Wow. Well, it's brilliant. I adore it. It's just amazing. When I discovered the Sunday loops, it was, it's breathtaking just to watch it. And I just have this little computer, but boy, I would love to see it on a big screen.
Oh, it's incredible. And actually, a lot of the Sunday Loops YouTube videos are 4K video, which, that's beyond HD, Ultra HD. Yeah. So if you do have the ability to put it on a giant screen, you could.
Could you see this in a planetarium?
Could I imagine it happening?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Go ahead and put it together.
Or an IMAX thing.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be a cool experience because the music is so immersive.
Do you know anybody that has a planetarium?
Yeah.
Well, actually, the University of Wisconsin does.
Oh, hey.
In Milwaukee.
Let's do it. Sounds cool. Well, the next time you're in Marquette,
I will.
Go into her shop and say, hey, because she's awesome.
Yeah, I absolutely will, because it's fantastic. So I'm really thrilled by that. It's just incredible. What I am really impressed about with this album is that I can't believe that it is just guitar. That to me, I was trying to look on the credits to see where is Jon on synthesizer, who's playing the synthesizer, because it's so the washes, the guitar washes they're so brilliant, and I really love it. It just your guitar sings throughout this whole album. It is it is a vocal. It's an incredible vocal that goes on throughout this album. But I just, I was like, how are you doing that?
Well, first of all, it's so amazingly cool that you listen so deeply and you hear all the layers and the textures that's happening. It is all guitar. I'm not using a guitar synthesizer. It's a regular guitar. I use a volume pedal and a series of effects, and it's all live. But I have things building up on a really long, if you imagine like a tape loop, but it's digital. But it fades over time. It's continuously changing, and nothing is static. But it is all guitar. It is all done live, and it's the same kind of thing I've been searching for ever since high school that I started doing then. But it's only in the last year that I sort of found a way to do it without the refrigerator of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's easier for me to just turn it on and make the music. But for me, this guitar sound is really personal.
Yeah.
And this is a very vulnerable album for me, because it's just the guitar by itself. And when I hear it, it sounds like the thing that I always wanted to do. So to me, it's really exciting to have an album. So I have to thank Jon for making it a 68-minute awesome album to listen to and making it happen, because he's the reason that it exists.
Yeah.
Even though he tried to talk me out of it.
Yeah, I think it's it's funny, but I think what a great brain you have to be able to, hear this. And I think so much of it is that you guys have collaborated for so long that you know what each other can do. And you know that David, what David's trying to say, the voice of this album, and you brought it out.
Sure. It's David's guitar sound it's a very unique and wonderful thing. And he says he's just now getting to the point where it's easy for him to do, but he's been doing it for as long as I can remember, ever since I've known him. And it's always been there. In all of his music and the music we've done together, it's always, some of our tracks start out with one of these loops that he creates, and then we build on that. We add stuff to it, and maybe eventually we end up taking the loop away. It's not there anymore, but it's a huge part of all the music. And usually it's just one element that's in there. But with this, it's out there on its own. It has to be interesting. It has to tell a story from start to finish, and it has to shine. So that's what we did.
The second track on this CD is called Waiting for the Wind. And it's a shorter track. And what I love, and I know you just mentioned this, but it's in my notes, but I love the way it starts out like a distant foghorn. And it's carried on, water that's rippling, not huge waves. And, and I love the sound of a foghorn. So, right away, this story continues, and and it's so visual, this whole, even without Sean's beautiful video, which is incredible, the music itself is so visual. It just takes you there. It's just amazing.
So cool that you say that. It's neat to hear you say foghorn. I mean, I wasn't thinking that when I made the music. To me, it's more like a whale sound or something.
Oh no!
But everyone hears what they want to hear, and that's the cool thing about music. Every listener has their own story that they put to whatever the music is, whether it's rock and roll or ambient music or space guitar albums. You get to put your own story to it. But it's the same thing. What you're talking about is what I was chasing. It just was a different thing.
Yeah.
It's okay.
And it, to me, it feels like morning. When I hear it, it feels like morning. And, I think it would be like an absolute fantastic track to wake up to.
Cool.
Because it's real promising. The track itself seems like it has a lot of hope, a lot of promise to it.
Yeah, I think it starts out asking questions and it ends up having some promise as it builds, I think.
Right.
Though it's been a while since I heard it, so you'll have to tell me.
I don't know. And I'm wondering, do nature sounds have, because the way like waves and wind, do they inspire you?
Big time. Nature sounds that aren't annoying. Like little tiny birds are cool, but not something I'm after. But waves, wind, thunder is a huge one. Whales, things that are slow and graceful and sound otherworldly are always inspiring to me in nature. So yeah, for sure.
So let's take a listen to this one right away, because we're already an hour and a half in. This is called "Waiting for the Wind," and this comes from David Helpling's brand new album called "A Sea Without Memory" on WMSE. That's music of David Helpling on WMSE from his brand new album, A Sea Without Memory, and a track called Waiting for the Wind. And it is 7:26. You're listening to 91.7 WMSE Milwaukee. This is Instrumental Saturdays, and I'm Mary Bartlein. We're going to continue our discussion with Jon Jenkins and David Helpling right after this message from Exclusive Company.
This portion of WMSC is supported by a donation from The Exclusive Company, a locally owned independent record store established in 1956. Exclusive Company buys, sells, and trades used CDs, records, and DVDs at 3 locations: 1669 North Barwell on Milwaukee's east side, 144 North Main Street in West Bend, and 5026 South 74th Street in Greenfield, featuring Metal House, a full-line metal store.
So my guests in the studio here on Instrumental Saturdays in Milwaukee on WMSE are Jon Jenkins and David Helpling. And I've been a big Spotted Peccary fan since the very beginning of Spotted Peccary. And
You've been there from the start, Mary.
Yeah, I totally love it. And I loved it so much that I actually had the gall to come out and meet you guys.
Oh, yeah.
I remember why I was out there. I was actually out there for a medical conference thing that I was doing. And then I just took some extra time off. And I think I don't know, I must have called you or something. And I just said, hi, I do a radio show in Milwaukee. Can I come and say hi? I'm in the area. I drove like 1,000,000 miles to get to
Well, yeah, and it just happened to coincide with the concert.
Yes.
With David Helpling.
And
I just learned today that you were at that concert.
Yo, you just learned that today?
I didn't know you were at the concert.
I was there, I was totally there. And it was totally by accident.
Yeah.
I didn't get to meet you.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, you did.
Really?
Yeah,
Why don't I remember?
Because you were doing a concert,
I'm not
man.
very memorable.
You had a lot going on.
Actually, Can I say something real quick to all the listeners? Mary is the most precious person I have spent any time with in a long time.
It's true.
You are so funny.
He doesn't
and you're
get
so
out much, does he?
positive. I don't. I never get out. But you're an amazing person.
Thank you.
And I just love you.
Oh, well, thank you. That's very sweet.
I'm sorry that I don't remember that you were at the show. I have stage fright and I get nervous. So if it was a concert, I probably don't remember any of it.
Yeah.
And
it was a fantastic. It was like, for me, I could not believe that. First of all, I did get to go out and John was gracious. I met Howard. I did get to see, a little tour of the place, and then to say, oh, and by the way, there's a concert tonight that we're going to, and you want to come with us. I was like, what? And it was you then, and oh my gosh, it was wonderful.
Yeah, it was David and Steve Roach.
I do remember standing on that stage in the giant dome IMAX theater with my synthesizer and my guitar doing this album, and it was amazing. It was nerve-wracking, but when the music and the sound started happening, it was pretty crazy cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember that.
And I had just been to Encinita, and was it Encinita where Steve Roach lived? And was that
he
where
was
he
in
was?
Tucson?
No, he was. But then he was in California at the time.
Oh, okay.
Because I went to his studio in California, or maybe it wasn't his studio, but I met him there. And, so I got to do a live interview there with
That's
him.
so cool.
Yeah.
It's so cool that you've been really connected with Spotted Peccary music and my music and John's music since the beginning.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
I've been on the air longer than you guys have been alive.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I don't think so.
You have been a huge supporter for the whole time, and we're deeply grateful for that.
You're the feature you did for Treasure with John and I.
Yeah,
was just
that was
one of the best, coolest things that we've done.
That was fun.
So thank you. That was awesome.
It was my first interview with 2 people on the line, and I wasn't sure how that was going to happen. And it's weird because I have all these notes here and stuff, and you guys are sitting looking at me, and I feel like, well, I shouldn't be reading my notes while but because normally I'm on the phone with an interview. Nobody knows when I'm going well. So, but John, you being the producer of the album, you're actually a pretty quiet guy, it seems. And does that introspection help you when you're producing? Do you have to be the bad guy too when you produce?
Sometimes you do have to be. A good producer is, they have to know what to say and when to say it and how to say it to get the best performance out of the artist that they can get. Now, in this case, David had already done the music. So, it wasn't really, the traditional producer role where you're in there helping the artist pull the music out of them. The music was already done. I just had to make it into a really good album.
Well, making music with Jon and sitting next to him over 10 years and 3 albums, he has told me no before. He'll say no. We can't. Let's not put that in the song.
Yeah.
And he's always right. In the moment, I think it's cool. He knows what's up. He's much wiser than me musically.
I don't know about that.
His decisions are always gold. So yeah, he's the producer, and he is a strong, quiet guy, but he does have a lot to say when you really get into it. He's an amazing person.
Can you guys still, after all these years of working with each other, be objective about your criticism of the music and
with each other?
Yeah.
Oh, sure. I think so. Yeah.
I think we have to. When we're making music, nothing's more important than the music. And neither of us are afraid to say anything. If it doesn't serve the song or the album or the project, it's not something we should do. So, we have to serve the album, not each other.
Well, I am my own harshest critic.
That's so true.
In order to get past me, it's gotta be good.
And I dwell in self-doubt. That's why I can't finish a record without Jon Jenkins being involved. A Sea Without Memory is here because of Jon. My new record that's coming out next year wouldn't be coming out if Jon didn't co-produce it. So, I think it's probably maybe just an artist thing. Yeah.
Now, technology has changed hugely since you guys first started doing this. How much of old technology do you actually still use? Or does using the new technology now make it so much simpler to record? Or do you miss the days where you recorded to multi-track?
I think it's yes, and yes.
Right.
The new technology is really cool. I personally I have a shrine in my studio. One wall of my studio is the shrine of 90s synthesizers.
Oh, God. Yeah.
And these are digital synthesizers, but they have knobs and sliders, and all the sounds that I've built over the past 20 years are in those machines. And there's a lot of stuff on computers that probably does it better.
Yeah.
But I have such a love for certain machines that speak a voice that I like.
Yeah.
And there's a couple synthesizers that Jon and I have programmed together, and all the sounds in there are the sounds that we make when we do music together. So I embrace the new technology, and so does Jon, but only when it's doing something that we can't say with the other things we have. I think
there has to be a connection with the technology. There has to be something about it that just inspires you.
Yeah.
And there's old gear that does that, and it still does that, and some of the new gear does that, and some of the new gear doesn't do that.
It's really
some
true.
of the old gear
really
doesn't do that. It's just you have to connect with it, and I don't really think of it as old technology versus new technology. I just think of it as technology that inspires.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's instruments that other musicians that are friends of mine or are just acquaintances of mine, and they love. And I play those instruments, and they just don't do anything for me. And I think what Jon just said, you have to have a connection with the instrument. And there's certain synthesizers that when I turn them on, I'm giddy. Every day. I've been playing this thing for 20 years. I turn it on, I get excited because I know what's in there.
Yeah.
And then there's some synthesizers that I bought and sold after a week because I'm like, I can't make any of this stuff get me excited. And I think it's really, really personal. And the same goes with digital delay units for me. I'm a collector, and I've gone through so many, and some of them just sound flat to me. And I know this is very subtle. This is like audiophile geeks talking about turntables and amplifiers and stuff, but there's certain instruments that are awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate a really good digital delay.
Okay.
I love it. I love that. And used well, it's brilliant, and used badly, it's you can tell the difference, but I love it. So, and
I love hearing you say that. I dream in delay.
I bet you do.
I honestly do.
Yeah.
So, but it's Jon nailed it. It's not old or new. It's those things that you connect with.
Yeah.
And it is really nice to put your hands on something. I like putting my hands on the synthesizer. I like putting my hands on the guitar. I like turning the knobs on my delay.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, some of the software stuff is amazing.
There's some stuff
you get
in the
there
computer
and you can do cool stuff.
Yeah.
you just can't do with anything else. And if it speaks to you,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a couple software synthesizers that Jon and I really love
Mm-hmm.
that we have programmed. And there's some other ones that we try, and we just end up not using them so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you still surprise yourself with some of your digital delays and toys? And
I think we can surprise each other.
Mm-hmm.
I can surprise him, and he definitely surprises me. But I don't think I ever surprise myself because I get caught up in the process.
yeah.
And you get complacent and hyper focused, or totally glazed over, one or the
Yeah.
other, and you're not always surprising yourself until the next day.
Right,
And I'm like,
when you
oh
listen-
my God, I don't even remember doing that. That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
That happens to me sometimes.
Yeah. How long were you working on this album?
A Sea Without Memory.
Yeah.
Well, it started from the Sunday Loops, which started in, I don't know when, in 2016.
It was August you started doing it.
August. So it was just a little over a year ago. But as far as when it became a record and when Jon came on as producer and turned it into a 68-minute total audio experience, I don't know when that was. Has it been 4 or 5 months?
Yeah, I think so. It was March or April
There
or
you
something
go.
like that.
And I think because it's a digital release, you're not printing a bunch of paper. You're not
Yeah.
printing
Yeah, we were
glass
able to
masters.
make it and put it out really quickly. Whereas if it had been a CD, it would have been
True.
a long lead time to get them manufactured and get all the printing done, and then that's going to push back his next album.
And then they get them out to distributors.
Yeah.
So if it's a digital release, it's like, hey, the album's done. Let's upload it and put it. I assume it's like that. You're the record label.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they just put it out, and then people can have it sooner. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. Souls in the Sky is the next track on this, and there's some little muted string sounds in here. Just little, I don't know how to really best describe it, but they're just like little muted plucking sounds. I really like that, and way in the background you can hear these little blippy sounds, and that's why I'm like, wow, this is all guitar, but it's all there's. It's amazing what you made the guitar do.
Thank you.
And
Cool.
and I love the layers. I'm just fascinated by the amount of layers that are in these tracks. Some have less, but some are so lush that, especially like the first one, and I do love how that first track, that 21-minute track, how you have different movements. It goes from, they're definitely different, movements, whatever. So it just blends beautifully, but it's all one piece, and it's, this whole CD it's an amazing journey. It's just,
Thank you.
Yeah.
I love that you listen like that, and I get a lot of messages from listeners that do the deep listening. I don't know if they're headphone listeners or they have a giant stereo, but they're hearing everything.
Yeah.
And they're really noticing stuff that I have to go back and listen and go, wait a second.
Yeah, and
try
I like to
figure out
listen.
what they're talking about.
I like to listen in different medias too. Like I am a very big headphone listener, but then I like to listen to it on different types of headphones, and in the car, and in from the silly computer speakers.
And it's always a different experience.
It's always a
right?
different, yeah.
It's like some people like to listen in the car, and some people like to listen to their headphones, and some people have a really big home stereo, and then they have that's a different experience.
Yeah.
Obviously. But that's so cool.
Yeah. And if, especially because if I'm going to, be, especially studying for a interview, I want to hear everything. So I can ask you what's with the blippy sounds, where,
See, right now
where,
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, there's little electronic blips.
Well, there's nothing electronic. It's all from guitar.
It's almost like a submarine blip.
Well, there's it's kind of weird. I do use effects and delays and reverbs. That's all I use. I don't use any phasers or flangers or choruses or any of that stuff. But I think a lot of it comes from how you play it. I've got the guitar and a volume pedal, and sometimes I play things really high and quiet, and where you play the guitar and how you pluck the notes. I think a lot of the music of any guitarist really comes out of their hands and the way you play it. You might have a lot of effects, but you still have to create the exact attack and the tonality and the register and the whether it's a harmonic or a really warm open note or a really bright thin note or something that's really nasally or something that you're doing the little hammer-ons where you don't. That's a different sound.
Yeah.
So I think maybe you're keying into the way certain little techniques picked up through delays and echoed or something.
Right.
While it's playing, you'll have to tell me.
I will, yeah. And I do want to ask, did you play, is it one guitar or did you play different guitars?
There's pretty much my favorite new guitar that I played on almost all of the Sunday loops. And I think almost all of the music on A Sea Without Memory was one guitar with the exception of this other guitar. So but when I played it, each piece of music comes from one guitar because it happened in one sitting.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But I have way too many guitars. We don't want to talk about that.
Well, what is the name of
them all?
You should. What's the name of what brand of guitars?
All of my guitars are Ibanez.
Oh, okay.
Which is not a popular brand by most people, but all of them are totally customized. They're torn apart, parts from other guitars. I get all the volume knobs taken off because they get in my way. So there's no volume, there's no tone controls. All it is the guitar and a really pure signal chain because I play totally clean. I don't use an amplifier. So I don't want any noise in there.
Right.
So, and then I get the headstocks cut off and painted and all kinds of weird stuff because I work with this another shout out, Fred at the Repair Zone in San Diego. He customizes guitars for all these big bands in LA.
Wow.
And he's been building and customizing my guitars for 17 years.
Wow.
And the two new guitars that I have, which is a story behind that I won't tell, but the two new guitars that I have, he completely over the past year and a half has built those for me, and that's what's on this album. So
wow,
crazy.
Well, that's a great story because they're fabulous sounding guitars for sure. So we're going to take a listen to "Souls in the Sky." It is an 11-minute track, so I do like that one a lot. I don't know what else I have about it, but so let's take a listen to that, okay? And I'll show you where the blips are. This music of David Helpling on WMSE from his brand new album. It's called A Sea Without Memory. And we are talking about this entire CD right now. And we've been playing all the tracks from it. And it's such a beautiful, cohesive piece. 68 minutes of, sometimes, when you think about it, you go, 68 minutes of guitar? Are you kidding? But not at all. There's so much depth to these songs. They are not, that nothing is boring on this. And it's so visual. There are videos that go with it. Beautiful graphics on the booklet, but there's nothing boring about this. There's nothing to let your mind wander, I think, while you're listening to this. And that's what I want. I don't, I really love this CD, this album.
Thank you.
But it's a digital download. And so...
Yeah, there is no CD.
Yeah. But the graphics are incredible. And that is one thing about Spotted Peccary through the years that I must commend you guys on, is that you have always had just beautiful artwork. And I've always really appreciated it. And your CDs stand out in that respect. And I do appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you. We've always had great talent working on that side of things. Originally with Greg Clampt, and Howard Givens has done a lot of it. Now we have this amazing talent, Daniel Pipitone, who handles all the graphics and the artwork, and he just does spectacular work. And just every time I'm blown away by what he does.
Yeah.
Don't you always know when it's a Spotted Peccary CD just by the cover?
I do,
you can
yeah.
tell that it's even the way the typesetting is, and the wording and the colors, and there's always something special about it. And Daniel's work is incredible, and he did all the graphic design for A Sea Without Memory.
Yeah, it's
and
beautiful.
The fonts and everything, and he totally... And
fonts can make or break it. For me, I totally...
And I am horrible with fonts.
I have not listened to CDs because of the font.
Yeah, you know what?
Wow.
Pay attention,
You hear
people.
that, artist?
Yeah, listen.
True.
But the cool thing about Daniel's, he listened to the music first, which is really awesome. And then we had a back and forth because he was creating the graphic design for it. But he totally understood the cold...
Yeah.
The blues and the greens, and it's all at nighttime.
Yes.
And he understood what it was trying to say. And everything he did, I didn't have to even change anything. He knew exactly what the music should look like. And that is an immense thing for an artist when he's in a record label. So it's very cool.
Yeah.
He's amazing.
Yeah,
And
we're
he's
very
a
lucky
great
to
guy.
have him. Yeah, he is.
He's like a super cool guy.
Does he spend time at Spotted Peccary? Or is a lot of this all done distantly?
He is in Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Daniel
Wow.
and Ben Cox also in Pittsburgh.
How did you find them?
They were Lotus Spike. They were the Lotus Spike label,
right.
we joined forces with those guys, and
Oh, wow.
so they stayed on board. And like I said earlier, Ben does a lot of mastering, and Daniel handles all the artwork. And then we have 3 people up in Portland: Howard and Deborah and Andrew Miles, who handle things, and then I'm in Southern California.
But you do hang out with Daniel
we all get together
once
once a year or so.
Do you have like a Spotted Peccary convention?
We do. Yeah, we have an annual meeting. We all get together. We brew our own beer. Actually, Daniel brews the beer. Thank you, Daniel. That's most appreciated.
Really good beer.
Yeah.
It is nothing to think about.
Yeah, so we get
Okay.
together every year, once a year, and talk things over and have fun and drink our beer and strategize and be friends.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So how did Howard and Deborah end up in Portland?
Oh, they just moved up there at some point. Howard went up. I guess it's been 12 years ago now.
Huh.
Yeah. And then Deborah and her husband moved up there not long after that.
Wow.
Portland's a great town. A lot of things happening there, and a lot of revitalization, and great art scene, great music scene.
Aren't they really supportive of the arts and
Yeah.
stuff? Just as a city.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Well, for me, and I love Daniel Pipitone's work. It is beautiful, without a doubt, and I do appreciate it, especially like that John As You're Born CD, that was very good.
Yeah.
But for me, I see the cover. My joy is flipping it over and seeing the logo.
You want to see that little
I totally go, there it is. That's it.
The 30-year-old logo, it still does it for
I
you.
love it. It is the cutest thing I've ever seen.
It is cute.
Yeah.
Well, you got to, okay, John, what is the logo for those that
It's a Spotted
haven't
Peccary.
Yeah.
But what is that? For people that haven't seen what the logo is that she's so excited about. Tell the listener.
It's a peccary. It's a peccary. It has with spots on it. It's like a little pig.
Looks like a little pig.
Little hog. Yeah.
And he's cute. And he's got spots. And he's on a keyboard.
Standing on a keyboard, yeah.
He's standing on a keyboard.
But it's a wild hog that's only found in the desert. Is that correct?
That's right, yeah.
In the Sonoran Desert,
Yep.
which is where Howard and Brain Laughter started, correct?
That's right. They were in Tucson when they started the label, and they chose that as like their spirit animal, I suppose.
I love it.
It's a very spiritual thing. So it's cute, but it's also very cool.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So, excellent. Where did I want to go from here? I wanted to. I wanted to ask you about the people that you have worked with throughout the years, and a lot of people. There have been collaborations. They come and go. In all the music that that I play on my show, and other people have worked together and stuff. But the two of you seem to still get along and still enjoy collaborating.
John and myself?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. John's actually my best friend. Mm-hmm. And real quick, I just got married almost a year ago, but he's my best man. We never have issues. We're best buddies. We get along. But when it comes to music, we work well together, but we also, we can make decisions and settle differences and serve the music. And that's what it's about. If you're serving yourself, it's never a collaboration.
Right.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
So as long as we focus on the music, everything's cool.
Yeah.
We are the best of friends.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And when you begin, I know you mentioned a little earlier about how song starts with a loop or something that you do on guitar. But do you like start with an emotion, or do you start with an idea of a song, or is the song? Do you have a title? Does the song title itself?
It's never the same. It's never. You mean when we're collaborating?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's never the same.
I think our process has been the same. When we did Treasure, when we did The Crossing, when we did Found, which those are 3 years apart, each of those, and a lot of work. The process was the same, but each song, I don't think it ever started with an emotion. Like we're sitting there with a blank slate and we're like, let's make a spooky song. Or
right.
I think it always starts with someone's hands on an instrument. Where I tweak around and I make sounds on the synthesizer. John makes sounds and he'll be like, hey, I have this new sound. What do you think? Mm-hmm. And one of us will touch it and play a chord, and that's all it takes.
Wow.
And then I'm like, wait, I'm hearing something, and I pick up the guitar and I play an answer to that thing that he just, even if it's one little note, and the song starts writing itself. I know that sounds maybe cliche, but it really happens. Mm-hmm. You just start building it. You answer this phrase that happened, and then you take it somewhere and try to make it something profound. And what? How do we title our tracks, John? Tell the true story here.
Usually it's a date, right?
Sometimes it starts with a date, or sometimes we call it something really silly.
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
Oh, okay.
And at what point in the process do we finalize and name our tracks?
Later in the process, as it's coming together, as we're mixing. Sometimes not even until the day the artwork is due.
Yeah.
But that's always usually a later thing. Not always, but typically a later thing.
That's how about the music it is.
Yeah.
We're writing this song to make it the best we can. We have a temp name for it, and that name could be really silly, and we know it's temporary. We know that once it's finished, it's going to really tell us what its personality is.
Yeah.
But it also has to belong on a record, and it has to belong to those other tracks. So the names have to be kindred in some manner for them to exist together as one experience. So yeah, it's not really profound.
Yeah.
We think of what the journey of that record is, and there's been some tracks like The Knowing that was really kind of a big deal. But I think for the most part, the track names are pretty simple.
Yeah. Now, you don't always have videos for your CDs, and but how do you feel about people using your music in a video? And because I did a lot of video surfing, and one of them that I thought was so beautifully done and so simple, but it went so well with the music, was the Francisco Sanchez Promise. It's just a train in a snowy.
Is that the one?
That's a cool video.
Is that the one where it's the point of view of you being on the train?
Yeah,
and it's going through Norway.
Yeah,
that's an awesome.
Oh
video.
my gosh! And the music it's just so perfect for it. It's brilliant.
I think it's cool when other people create videos and put your music to it. There are times when someone puts our music or my music to videos that is kind of weird or might not make sense, but it's out there. The point is, someone was inspired by the music to do something, and that is cool.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And one other thing about, we talked a little bit about this yesterday about, the whole albums, LPs are coming back, and the whole, you get the whole thing there. You get the art, you get the LP, you get everything. And you listen from start to finish. And now with iTunes and all the hoo-ha stuff that you can buy one song, buy one track. How does that make you feel when you're creating a kind of just a group of songs like these that just flow from one to the next, and it becomes a masterpiece of work where one person says, well, I like that Souls in the Sky, I'll buy that one for 99 cents. Doesn't that kind of like go,
we don't, I don't think we think too much about that when we're creating. We're just trying to make the best album we can make.
Yeah.
And if someone's going to just download one track, then, that's fine if that's what they want to do.
Yeah, I think when in our collaborations, in the trilogy, each record is supposed to be listened to from beginning to end. And it's really important we build the process that way. But, once you put it out there, you put it out there. You can't have a say-so or an opinion. And someone wants to buy a track, they still sought out your music and they're buying it. And that's cool. I'm sure if we were worried about it, we'd make it so they'd have to buy the whole album.
Right.
But we're not worried. I'm not worried about it.
And to be fair, we do on the Spotted Peccary website, we only sell albums. We don't sell individual tracks. If you do a download there, you're going to buy the whole album.
Yeah. Then that's very smart, I think.
Well, because that's how the music's intended to be heard.
Yes.
In most cases.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We're old school that way.
Great. Are there any Spotted Peccary LPs? Because I know you came about in the world when it was all CDs.
It was all CDs when the label first started putting out music on a larger scale.
Yeah.
It was the 90s. We did just put out our first LP this year.
Oh.
On vinyl. It was the Between Interval album.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
And that came out on vinyl?
Came out on vinyl in April.
Wow.
And it sounds fantastic.
I'm sure it does.
Have you seen what the vinyl looks like and the sleeve and everything?
No, I haven't seen it at all.
It's really, really cool.
Is it on the website?
Ask
picture on the
it should be on there.
the picture on the website?
Yeah.
Oh.
I've only seen pictures of it, but it looks really, really cool. And it's big. Big artwork is exciting to me.
Yeah, so we're all fans of the album. We're all of that age when it was cool, and now that it's coming back, we're excited about that. We want to do more. We want to do more LPs. It costs a lot of money to do an LP, but
yeah, I can imagine.
I think in some cases we're going to start doing more of those, hopefully.
Huh. Yeah, and Being of Light is the last. Which one came out in LP?
Legacy by Between Interval.
Oh. Huh. I didn't. Well, I'll look a little harder later when I'm not on doing an interview. But But I love going to your website and looking at all the album covers. It's really it's fun.
Yeah, and it's cool to have a large,
Yeah.
LP size cover for it. It's great.
Yeah. Are you still assigning artists?
Sure. Yeah.
Or do you have like your stable that you?
We have a stable, but if something comes across that really grabs us, we would talk to that person.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. And do they come to you, or have you sought out artists?
Usually they come to us.
Yeah.
We get a steady stream of things coming in all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you're using some of your older electronics and stuff, do you ever like flash back to, I remember when we used it on this particular song?
Oh yeah.
And
Sure.
and can you make it sound new?
I'm not quite sure how to answer that. I mean, yes, we do flash back. Like we'll pull up a sound and say, "Oh, remember this?"
We flash back every time we work on music together because we have the same instruments that we used for Treasure. And there's one particular synthesizer and one particular sound that we created together that was on Treasure that is on The Crossing and is on Found.
Yeah.
And it's one of our favorite sounds. And when you say, can we make it sound new? I think it always sounds like that sound, but we're playing it in a different song, in a different register.
Right.
And it's one of those sounds where if you play it really soft, it's warm. And as you hit it harder and harder, it opens up. So it's really expressive.
Yeah.
But to me, it's like, it's so great to play that sound because it makes me get all happy because it reminds me of all the work I did with John. So
Yeah, and like David said, in some cases, those are like the signature sounds. So, you don't really want them to sound new. It's that voice of familiarity that's going to make you say, "Oh, that's a David Helpling song," or "That's a Jon Jenkins song."
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in the first song you played. You played the title track from Treasure, right? Mm-hmm. Starts out with the piano.
Yeah.
Then it has the dun 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 dun. That's the sound I'm talking about.
Yeah. And I do, I do love that trilogy. It's fantastic. So keep doing that. The next track that we have,
trilogy.
Yeah, you should.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd love to get into asking you more questions about that too. But we have two more tracks to play from this CD, and I'm excited to talk about this next one because I love all the tracks on the CD, but every time when I hear this song, I hear it differently. I don't know why.
That's cool.
I don't know why. It's called Dreams of Smoke and Mist. And every time I've heard it, I hear it differently. I feel differently.
I think that says something cool about the music, but it's something way more cool about you.
Well, I don't know. I'm crazy.
No, you listen and you have experiences and you probably visualize things.
Yeah.
And then maybe if you listen to it in a different setting,
it
hits you differently or.
Yeah. And I think, and it just sounds, like, is that's that song? Oh my goodness. Like I just hear it differently. I just, but it's really lovely. It's a very breathy song. And you have also, again, little percussive muted string echoes.
The little harmonics probably.
Yeah, midway through that come in. And I guess it's a little, maybe like a little bittersweet song.
Yeah, there's some,
but bright.
I don't know if the word is melancholy or there's some yearning, there's some searching in the music emotionally, and it's not dark, but it's not. It's really hard. Maybe because it's ambiguous. The music, I think you can really portray and put your own emotions onto it. Mm-hmm. Maybe because there's enough room for you to do that. Yeah, musically or harmonically.
Yeah, because what I do like about this. Another thing that I like about this album is that there are, you have these dark undertones on some of the songs. They're really dark, but the bright sparkles are, above that. And it just, it's a beautiful contrast. It's just really nice.
Well, thank you. I think I probably subconsciously do that because I'm using a guitar and I want to represent as much as I can and try to get some really low notes and then try to get some really beautiful shimmery stuff on top when it's appropriate. Right. And then fill in the middle with all those voice-like bell tones and stuff. And I think maybe because of the way the songs or the movements progress throughout the piece, there's quite a bit of of different things for you to grab onto as a listener. So maybe that's it. I don't know.
It just, it's just really fabulous layers.
Thank you.
Yeah. So let's take a listen to this one. And it is track 4, which and it's called Dreams of Smoke and Mist. It's a good title, too.
Thank you.
So this is the music of David Helpling on WMSE. That's music of David Helpling on WMSE. And it's really super sweet song. I do love that song. It's just really, it just flows, it breathes, it's fabulous. My guest in the studio for the last 2.5 hours has been Jon Jenkins and David Helpling in Milwaukee. I can't believe it.
Milwaukee's really cool.
Oh, man, what a great town. We've had so much fun. We walked around all day today. We went to the museum. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Milwaukee, for being so awesome.
This is an incredible city. It is so beautiful and clean and spacious, and it's got an amazing vibe. I love it.
It does, yeah. I'm glad that you like it. It is a beautiful town for sure. And there's, the lakefront is just unbelievable. We're blessed to have that.
And it was a nice day. We had great sun, perfect temperature.
It was absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
And I've never been to the Midwest anywhere.
I know. I'm glad Milwaukee's your introduction.
Yeah, I've only been West Coast and all the Hawaiian Islands. I stay west. So this is just amazing. Yeah. And we did fly here just to see you, and then we're flying home tomorrow.
And you're flying home tomorrow. It's terrible.
Yeah. Can I make another shout out?
Yeah.
My wife is an amazing flight attendant, and she got us here and is making sure we get back. And she's amazing. Her name's Dina. I love her.
Yeah. Hi, Dina.
Pieces. Hi, Dina.
Thank you, Dina.
So she's the reason we're here, and the reason that I get to travel anywhere is because of her. So.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I was really happy to hear that you'd be able to do that, and it must be an exciting job too, though, for her.
Oh, she loves her job.
Yeah.
And she travels all over the place and has a lot of awesome benefits and stuff. Mm-hmm. But what that means is we can fly out again for something else that happens maybe in the future.
So we'll see you next week then.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm now a big Milwaukee guy. I'm like, can I stay here for a while?
Did you guys get a brat yet?
Oh, yeah. I had one.
You did?
He got a brat. I don't eat four-legged animals.
Right.
But he got a brat. I had an amazing falafel burger. Is that exciting? But we did go to Pabst, and I had a great beer. So that was cool.
All right.
Is that okay? Does that get me in the club a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we're trying to get the full Milwaukee experience.
Yeah.
So far, we're loving it.
Yeah. Well, we'll do some more before you go.
Okay.
But David, after doing this album and the Sunday Loops, have you found a greater respect for your guitar, or what your guitar can do?
Never been asked that question before. A greater respect. I feel, I guess so. Respect is a good word. I feel very, very fortunate that two things. Number one, I've been able to find a way to make the sound of my dreams that I've been trying to find for so long. So yeah, I am thankful for that. But I'm also pretty blown away that I'm able to do it.
Yeah.
And that I can make these sounds today with, like I said, it used to be a small refrigerator, and now that there's this company called Strymon that makes these really cool effects pedals, and they're the only company out of all the people that make pedals, small effects, that make the instruments that have that sound that I was looking for and sort of had in the 80s. And it's in a small format, and all the other stuff just sounds flat to me. So I have a newfound respect for what I can do with the guitar and the technology that's out today that's almost gone backwards, but in something I can carry around and like just in the palm of my hand. It blows my mind. Yeah. And I knock on wood every day that I get to do this, and that there's people out there, including tonight, listening to my weird guitar music because it's just some strange thing I like to do. So yeah.
Well, it's beautifully emotional. It's It's not just weird guitar music. I mean, sometimes if you break it down to the mechanics of it.
Well, you asked me if I had respect for my guitar.
Yeah, and a greater knowledge, and a greater knowledge of the guitar.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But to come back to what you just said, there's a lot of emotion in this music, and I'm a very emotional person. And there's days when I'm having a tough time. There's days when I'm really inspired. There's days where I'm jubilant, and that stuff comes out in the music. And when I was doing the Sunday Loops every Sunday, it was therapy for
Yeah.
me. It's Sunday night. I have to do guitar because I promised everyone, and now I have listeners.
Yeah.
But it's a chance to put your soul into the music, and it's a very non-cerebral, very in my heart process of playing guitar, and what comes out can be very full of love and full of emotions or fear, or if I'm feeling a little ominous, that's going to come out in the music. So once again, it's cool that you are keying on this stuff and you hear it and you don't take it at face value, and that you listen into the emotions that are behind the phrases and the interplay between all the layers of the guitars, and that's so cool.
And a lot of times I won't even look at a title, because I don't want to be persuaded by what the title might be trying to tell me.
See, you're a purist.
Wow.
That's so cool.
And so that's why,
interesting.
I didn't even look at the digital downloaded book till today. And I didn't know that there were the three movements and stuff. I mean, I could tell, but I didn't know they were titled. So, but yeah, because
were you okay with the titles once you did see them, or are you kind of disappointed?
Well, you have to look at them because you're reading them on the air.
You
to
can
the
be
listeners,
honest
right?
now.
yeah, well, the breakdown, the movements, the swirl, a punishing cold, as if for the first time.
Yes.
A little esoteric, but
Really? You want a more specific?
no, it's okay. I'm not a big poetry person.
Okay.
So,
That's cool. It's
that's
about
just
the
me.
music.
Yeah, exactly.
All it is music.
Yeah,
But it's fun to put little stories to them.
right. Right. And I mean, like I said, this album is so perfect for this time of year, because we're moving into winter here in the
Yes.
Midwest.
Yes,
And
that's
so,
what the music's about.
yeah. So this is probably going to be my soundtrack for winter.
Thank
Oh,
you.
nice.
That's
year.
awesome.
I'll probably have this in my car a lot. And
Good.
CD player at the bedside.
Thank you so much.
The last track, we have one more track to go, and because I have more things to ask you, but this last track is so sweet. I do love this song. It reprises the album. To me, it reprises the album. I don't know if that was intentional, but to me,
Ask John.
it reprises. It brings the whole album back together and around again.
Yeah.
And I because I hear sounds from that first track, and then it's the sound that brought me in at 6 minutes 30 seconds, and I swear there's crickets in here. I'm like, at one point I'm totally like, those are crickets. I know he did a field recording.
It's just guitar.
And this has the dark undertones accented with the sparkles. It's really pretty in here.
Yeah, you said sweet. That was your first word. That's pretty
Very
nice.
sweet. Yes, it's very sweet. I do really like this a lot.
Well, John masterfully produced this particular track and the order in which things appear. And if it feels like it summarizes the record a little bit, I'd like to hear from John as to why he did that.
Well, the goal. Well, you gave us about 3 hours worth of music, I think, to work with.
Well, isn't that awesome that you got to pick and choose?
That is,
just a
yes,
small
it is
part of
awesome. Yeah,
You got a
it
lot
was
of choices.
Fantastic. I mean, so, my goal was just to make an interesting, well, more than interesting, make a fascinating album, make a story, make an experience, which is our goal every time we make an album. But, in this case, I was working with all this material and just going through it all and finding, what makes sense here. Now, what makes sense to follow that, and making it all work together. It was really fun, really fun thing to do. And yes, that was the goal, to make an album.
Yeah. Well, it's it's a beautiful way to end the album, and it just brings all the elements together. And
there's a real resolution to this track.
Yes.
I think it might even end in a major key. I don't know, but it's
Quite possible.
Yeah.
And now also there's at 11 minutes 11:05, there's a little 3-note, what I call heavy sigh. It's just and I don't know how it sounds. I can't remember. But it's a 3-note
description.
And then it kind of morphs into a 2-note harmonic, which is really nice. It also it's breathing, and it's almost like a call and response. towards the end. So it's just this really, I love I do like this song a lot.
You're awesome.
So it just, so the ending, and it, fades out nicely, and it just, it's a great way to end the album.
I think choosing how to end an album or a record, especially a 68-minute thing that never stops, I think is really important. How you leave someone when they open their eyes when this is done is a big deal. And it's all Jon. He knew what that last bit was going to be. What's the last thing you're going to hear? What are you going to remember?
Yeah, it was very obvious early on, putting things together, that this part would be the end. This is definitely the finale.
See, I didn't know that till just now. We didn't have a whole lot of discussion.
Yeah.
Because
no, I just sort of did it.
He just did it, and I'm like, awesome. I love it.
Yeah. Well, it's, kudos to you, Jon. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is, you did a great job. So, and the both of you, it's I love the collaboration.
I love working with Jon, and everything we do together always turns out to be just amazing. And he's not, he won't say this, but he's an amazing producer. He knows how to make records. He knows what works, and he really knows what works emotionally. He won't talk about it, but he'll make it happen every time. So that's Jon for you.
Yeah.
It's all luck.
No. It's,
told you.
It's totally, there's, because there is really a lot of emotion in this whole album. So yeah, you really pulled it together. I love this. So yeah, take a real close listen to this song, because it just, it's all there. It's like walking down, memory lane or something, but I really dig it. So good job.
Great.
This is the title track, A Sea Without Memory. So it's perfect all the way around. David Helpling on WMSE. music, David Helpling on WMSE from the amazing new album, A Sea Without Memory, and that was the title track. Oh my gosh, you guys.
Oh my gosh, Mary. This has been so fun.
This has been awesome.
Yeah.
It's been really a lot of fun for me. I love this new album. It's really beautiful, and it'll get a lot of, airplay from me for sure because I can use it a lot of the songs.
Thank you.
We've determined, John, that you are a genius.
No.
It's true.
It's not
Yeah.
true.
Yes, it is.
And so my question for you, sir, is when is your next album coming out? We know one's on the horizon for David.
Yeah. I've been so busy running a record label.
I believe that.
Yeah, that I haven't had the time to really work on anything. I have plans to. But who knows? I'll probably end up working with David again before I do a solo thing. But we'll see how it goes. I was just counting up the other day. Since Found was released, Spotted Peccary has put out 49 albums.
Oh my gosh.
In that period. So it's basically been, at least one a month for 4 years. And
yeah,
that makes for a full plate.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not like I haven't been doing anything.
Right. No, not at all. But yeah, to produce this album and, the magic that you helped to put into it.